right here, Annie. I see somebody's got a thing here, so I don't know. You want to try it? It looks like it's out, doesn't it?
Thank you so much. Good morning, folks. Welcome so much to Unity on the River. Our guest artist today is Brian Dozer, the double hat wearing Unity awesome favorite Mitadozer.
He looks pretty good.
And summer extraordinary. And Brian's going to trade his stars too. Yeah.
Is it really the last day we can wear shirts like this? With short sleeves.
Whatever you want me to do.
I'm trading my shame. struck down, but I'm not destroyed. I'm blessed beyond the curse, for the promise will endure, and his joy's gonna be my strength. Your sorrows may last for a night, but joy comes in the morning. I'm trading my sorrow, I'm trading my shame, I'm laying them down for the joy of the Lord. Oh, I'm trading my sickness, I'm trading my pain, I'm laying them down for the joy of the Lord. And we say, yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord. One more time. And we say, yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord. Oh, I'm crushed but not crushed, persecuted, I'm not abandoned. I'm struck down but I'm not destroyed. I'm blessed beyond the curse, for the promise will endure, and his joy is gonna be my strength. Oh, your sorrows may last for a night, but joy comes in the morning. I'm trading my sorrow, and I'm trading my shame, and I'm laying them down for the joy of the Lord. Oh, I'm trading my sickness, I'm trading my pain, I'm laying them down for the joy of the Lord. Here we go, bring it home. Yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord, amen. I can't hear you. Yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord, amen. Now the fun part. La 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 la. Your turn.
Oh, we're gonna keep dancing. Well, I got up in the morning singing, God is so good. I got up in the morning singing, God is so good. I got up in the morning singing, God is so good. My God is so good to me. I'm feeling good down in my soul, yeah, God is so good. I'm feeling good down in my soul, yeah, God is so good. Feeling good down in my soul, yeah, God is so good. My God is so good to me. And in my time of trouble, I say, God is so good. And in my time of trouble, I say, God is so good. And in my time of trouble, I say, God is so good. My God is so good to me. Take it, Keithy! Everybody, God is so much. Thank you so much. I did that tune in honor of Ricky Byers-Beckwith, who is coming on Wednesday. She is awesome. If you don't have your ticket, come. And you're in for a treat because Rebel's going to play also on that night. And Dude's a great player, so come check it all out. Yeah, she's amazing. Okay, now we're going to take it down a bit. Don't worry, we'll whip it up again. You know us. We try to stay calm. Here we go.
Let us pray. Surely the presence of the Lord is here, because each and every one of you is here in your magnificence, in your glory, in your splendor, in your beauty, in your joy. Each of you is indeed God made manifest, God made real, God made visible. And all that God is, love, oneness, it is you. So today we come together, we celebrate that, we remember that, we live deeper from that, we connect from that place. Surely the presence of the God is here because you are here. And so it is, and so let it be. Amen and amen. You may be seated. Good morning. Welcome to Unity on the River. If we haven't had a chance to meet yet, I am Reverend Ogun Holder, and thank you for sharing this Labor Day weekend with me, with us, with each other. Yes, Maura did allude to it, that for the Ricky Byers concert, I will be joining the band. So, yeah, that'll be fun. I'm very much looking forward to that. It's been a while. It's been a while. As I like to say every Sunday morning in my opening prayer, yes, the presence of God is here as you, in you, through you. So if you want to see the face of God, you always simply just need to turn to the face of another person. So turn to someone and simply say, God looks good today. And as always, I am glad for the presence and manifestation of God in the wonderful souls that help facilitate this service with me. And today it is Michelle. Thank you, Michelle.
Good morning and welcome to Unity on the River. Happy to be facilitating with you today, and thank you all for coming on this holiday weekend. There's a reflection from a car out there, so I'm moving around. Not to get it in my eyes. First, let's say hi to our streamers. For those of you who don't know, we stream every Sunday, and you can watch the recordings on YouTube on our channel. And you can also download just the audio part of the service for re-listening on the SoundCloud app. We'd like to welcome anyone who's visiting with us for the first time today. Could you please raise your hand? This is the first time coming here. Okay, great. Keep your hands up. Our ushers have a flower and an information packet for you. And the information packet contains a card. If you'd like to fill it out, you can leave it at the Spiritual Resource Center, which is just as you come in the door. Also, the flower gives you 10% off in the bookstore. We have some special guests today from Unity of Greater Hartford. They came to check us out. So we want to welcome them. We have Reverend Christine Boylan and Jim and Angela. Thanks for coming. Unity on the River is a center of celebration, transformation, inspiration, spirit-centeredness, oneness, and joy. Please hold those truths in your heart as we say together our mission and vision statements. Our mission: we are a vibrant spiritual community that celebrates the presence in all and awakens humanity to its divinity. And our vision: centered in love, we joyously co-create a world of oneness, peace, and harmony. And I just have a few announcements for you. As you've been hearing, Ricky Byers-Beckwith is coming this Wednesday. Make sure you're here. She's phenomenal. You heard one of her songs today, and it is so worth it. She's coming all the way from California, so don't miss it. Get your tickets today so that you can be sure to come. You can get them at the door if you want to take that chance, but might be better to do it today or online this week. Then on Saturday, we have Reverend Dr. Gary Simmons is coming for his program, The Q Process. Today's the last day that you can sign up for this for $99 instead of $125, and this is an incredible bargain. One of our core values is transformation, and his program is all about transformation. How many of you did the art and practice of living with no one and nothing against you? That practice is something that will stay with you. And I did it when one of the first classes that we had here. And it's something I do return to in times of trouble, as they say. Over the past year, I had a huge resentment towards someone. Ooh, big one. And, I could justify it. But then, after a while, it was like, okay, I need to transform this. And I used this book and also some other work, and I was able to come to a place of compassion for this person that I was so upset with. So it's powerful. Don't miss out on this workshop. He has several books out there, but there's nothing like coming and hearing from the voice of the person who created it and really getting those practical skills. So please try to get here this Saturday and sign up today so you save yourself some money. Always good, right? And then the week after that, we have another fabulous thing happening on Wednesday. It's the opening of Unity's World Day of Prayer. We will be having a labyrinth set up that night on our Wednesday night service, and we'll have prayer stations out in the fellowship area. The church will be open for 24 hours. We go from that 7 o'clock on Wednesday till our closing service on Thursday at 7. Please come. It's a wonderful time to just have quiet and meditation. There will be someone here all night and all day, so you can just come and be in the presence and be in the quiet. If you have prayer requests that you'd like us to pray over, there is a box out in fellowship where you can leave those slips of paper. And you can also sign up for a time that you think you might like to come and just hold that space. You don't need any special training or anything. Just come. It's really an amazing evening. Now it's time for us to greet each other with Namaste. I see you. I see the presence. I see your divinity. I say Namaste to you.
It's hard not to love this song. Oopsie, it gives it away already. I tried to wrangle either one of my two children who performed with me on this, and one was too shy, and the other one said, "No, Ted, really?" I'm like, come on, it's teenagers. Over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly. The dreams that you dreamed of, why then, oh, why can't I someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops high above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me, oh, somewhere over the rainbow, way up high. And the dreams that you dreamed of, why then, oh, why can't well, I see trees of green and I see red roses too, and I watch them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Well, I see skies of blue and I see clouds of white, the brightness of day, and I like the dark, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people passing by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry and I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than we'll ever know, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops high above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me, oh, somewhere over the rainbow, way up high. And the dreams that you dreamed of, dreams really do come true. Y'all sounded wonderful on me.
Thank you, Brian, as always. I'm sure the vast majority of you have logged some time in the last few days, couple weeks, reading, listening, watching others make comments about the life of late Senator John McCain. And regardless of where you stand on politics, regardless of where you stand about decisions he's made in his political career, I think there's one thing that across the board people expressed: his commitment to, as he best saw it, integrity and commitment to service. In fact, one of my favorite things was outside his ranch in Arizona. I saw this individual who drove up and planted a massive handmade sign that said, "Thank you for your service." And this was a person who, when interviewed about it, said, "Oh, I don't agree with anything he says politically at all. But if there was anything that I was clear about is that he knew that he represented us as Arizonians, and we were better for him doing the work that he did." Other sentiments included things like it was clear that he was called to public service. And that phraseology has been one that I used to struggle with a lot, especially when I transitioned out of the religion of my upbringing, more traditional evangelical type Christianity, when that phrase was meant to indicate that God, the big old man up in the sky, had some prescripted, predetermined plan for my life, and should I follow that plan, things should turn out okay, right? But then I left that way of thinking, and as I've mentioned in some talks in the past few weeks, embrace this idea of God as principle, this fundamental unity teaching. God is not person, but principle. So then if that's the case, then I had a lot of follow-up questions, including, well, then if that's the case, then what's happening to the plan for my life? Am I just like wandering here in the breeze? And it's interesting, as I've spent years in Unity, to listen to folk who get the idea of God as principle, not person, not the old man up in the sky, not the judging, none of that. I tend to have conversations with people who kind of get that idea. But then at the same time, they often still use phrases like, God's plan for my life, what spirit would have me do. And I'm throwing myself under the bus with it too. Phraseologies I've used, terms I've used. But if I'm truly a student of Unity's teachings, if I'm truly going to say these teachings that our co-founders, Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, have put forth, if I'm really going to use them and embrace them to continue to transform my life, to continue to deepen, raise, expand my consciousness, then I got to go all the way in. I have to truly deeply understand what are these teachings really saying about everything, especially this thing. So if God is principle, if God is not a person who is planning, or an entity or a being who is planning and making a plan for my life, then who's doing the calling when I feel called to something? What does that even mean for us now? Think about it. In order to make a plan and to choose, that implies that time is involved. So think about that for a second. I want to achieve something, so I create a plan. Plans involve timelines, right? Step 1, step 2, step 3. If I invite you into doing something with me, first thing I got to tell you is when and where to show up, when and where I need this thing done. So time is involved. Time is involved when you think about it. Do I want to do this or not? Because, Reverend Ogun, he's got some crazy ideas sometimes. Do I want to choose to do that? So we spend time thinking about it. Then we spend time deliberating and decide if we're going to say yes or no. Time is involved. But the important part about that whole process is the thing hasn't been done yet, right? Between the inviting, between the coming up with the plan, the inviting you to choose to be part of the plan, and then waiting for you to say yes, and then executing the plan, like a lot of time goes by, okay? But here's the thing. Here's why this doesn't apply to God, to principle, to all that is. There's no time involved in God. There's no time involved in God. In God, there is no before, there's no after. There's no making a choice, waiting for something to unfold. Because God just is. God just is. So when you think about it at that realm, at that level of which you speak of the spirituality and the oneness of God and all that is and the absolute good, basically everything that can or has to be chosen, it just is. It already just is. This is a weird concept for our brains to get hold of because our brains function primarily in the context of time. Like, service started at 10-ish. And even the phrase ish at the end of that, what does that imply? That time itself is just this weird, fluid, dynamic thing. It gets started when it gets started. It'll get done 11:15-ish, maybe less time if he doesn't talk as long. Or, this is going to be, he's talking a lot today. We're going to be here for a while. Time. There is no time in God. There is no choosing in God because God's not a thing that chooses. God is just the principle of absolute good. God just is. When we say something just is, then a lot of different concepts fall away, and time is one of them. There is no time in God. I often use that phrase as a comical retort when I'm showing up late for something. You're late. Yeah, there's no time in God. What are we worried about? But the truth of the matter is that that's the case. There is no time in God. So if there's no time in God, God's not making a plan. God's not inviting us into anything, waiting for us to decide if we're going to choose to do it or not. There is no time in God. So for me, the concept of God's will, as we may have traditionally understood it, and anything we use as a substitute to indicate that we got to figure out what God wants us to do. They need to fall away as well. But don't worry, won't leave you hanging, because we have these really fun concepts in Unity I want to teach you about. If my remote will work. It might help if I turn it on. That was not a good plan. Here we go. And you're thinking, what some of those same words are up there, but let me break this down a little bit. There's only one thing that we do as human beings, consciously or unconsciously, that we don't have a choice in the matter, which is to express the Christ essence that we are. When I say the Christ essence, I'm referring to that innate essence of God that we are. We're always expressing that, whether we're doing it consciously or unconsciously. We talked about creation. We're always creating, whether it's in our imagination or actually creating a physical thing people can see. One of the purest ideals of God is love. We are always expressing love. Sometimes we do it in a conscious, compassionate, meaningful way. Sometimes we do it unconsciously, in a dark way. Then we find jealousy and obsession rolling up. That's what jealousy and obsession really is. It's like, if love is a spectrum, jealousy, obsession is like, it's like the dark end of the spectrum. It is a perverted form of love. But that's what that is. It's just love expressing. And guess who's involved in expressing the divine within? Each and every one of us. Again, whether we are consciously doing it or not, that's what we're here doing. That's divine will. That's in unity when we use the phrase divine will, that's what we are saying. We are expressing that divinity in us. We don't have a say in whether we're doing it or not. It's just happening. You know, kind of like breathing in a sense. You know, no one's sitting here consciously thinking all the time about the next 4,000 breaths you're going to take. It's just going to happen. So this is us. This is divine will. It is amorphous. It really can't be defined because, again, God, that divine essence core of who we are, is also beyond description. So then, how do we choose to express that divinity within us? That's where the divine plan comes in. But listen to this. Divine plan is how each person decides to go about bringing forth and expressing divine will. Let me say that again. The divine plan is how each person decides to go about bringing forth and expressing divine will. In other words, we decide, we create a plan, and the plan's divine because we're divine. Let me say that again. When we become conscious, we choose how we're going to express the divinity as us. And we create some kind of plan of action, and the plan's divine because we're divine. The plan's not divine because God is the originator of the plan. We're the originator of the plan, and we're divine. So it's a divine plan. It's kind of like if Michelle came up with a plan. It's Michelle's plan because she's Michelle. We're divine, so it's a divine plan. But we came up with it. And you're thinking, whoa, that's a lot of pressure. Now, I got to come up with the divine plan for my life. What if it goes wrong? Because I came up with it. Because I can tell you, I've created some plans that were doozies. But here's the good news. Reverend Eric Butterworth, longtime Unity minister, author, says this: you cannot make a wrong choice or a bad decision, because any step you take will eventually lead to your good, because a negative experience encountered will produce the challenge in which to outgrow the kind of consciousness from which the choice was made, leading to a higher consciousness from which more constructive steps will be taken. You cannot make a bad decision, because any experience which you label as negative, inherent in it, if you're conscious, will give you the tools to grow the consciousness to put you in that decision in the first place. Therefore, there's growth. Therefore, what was a quote-unquote bad decision was actually an opportunity for you to uncover more of the divinity of yourself. That makes sense? Now, the key is to remember that in the midst of it. Because in the midst of it, it's like, oh, holy hell is rolling out right now. What is going on here? I messed that up. And on the surface, you can argue that. It may be true. But we're much more than the surface. The divine will is that we express more and more of the divinity of who we are. And when we make a plan to go about doing that, no matter how it looks on the surface and the outcome, everything we experience is an opportunity for us to do more of the divine will, which is unfolding the divine within us. And then we come to that last one, divine guidance. So this is the one I love the most, because this is the one that I think is the most subtle of it, of these things. So divine guidance, again, implies that divine God is guiding me along the way of executing my plan. But again, When we speak of the divine, when we speak of God, what are we speaking of? That principle of absolute good. So it's not accurate to say there's guidance coming from God, because there's no from anything. From implies that something's here, something else is here, and it's going from, I need a third hand, from here to here. There's a direction involved. From implies some sort of separateness. I get my groceries from the store. They're not at my house yet. I got to go to the store and get them. Two different places. This is a subtle challenge with words, because words like from and in and through implies location. You can't use location when it comes to God, because there isn't a place God isn't. So there's no coming from God at all. Everything already just is. And in unity, we speak of our 12 powers. There's two of them that apply here. Our divine power of wisdom and our divine power of judgment, or discernment. Not negative judgment, but discernment. So we are imbued with divine qualities of wisdom and discernment. So as we are executing our plan, any questions, queries, comments, wonderings, doubts, anything we have along the way, we don't need to say, God, help me make the decision. No. All you need to make the decision is already you. It's already you. Just got to open yourself up to it. Open yourself up to it. And one of the number one ways you do that is you create some silent space, some meditation time, some quiet time. These are what your spiritual practices do. Create the space that you can find that guidance from you, because you are divine. This is the good news and bad news of unity. The good news is you are the answer. The bad news is you are the answer. But I just said there's no bad decision, right? So it's only just all good news. It's only just all good news. So as always, how do we take these spiritual teachings and principles and make them something practical in our life? Because that's always the question, right? Oh, these sound great. Love what you're saying. Love all these teachings. But how do I actually do this in my day-to-day world? The how of it. And I believe the Japanese had some insight on this with this principle that they have, this concept. It's called ikigai. Some of you may have heard about it before. There's no straightforward translation or translation. But it really just, in essence, means the reason you get out of bed in the morning. What's the reason you get out of bed in the morning? Not the reason that you feel you have to. I got to get up and go to work. But it's so early. And if I don't go to work, I can't pay the rent, can't pay the bills, so I have to go to work. So just imagine for a minute that you didn't have to go to work. Just imagine for a minute that all your financial needs were taken care of. Just imagine. Use our power of imagination. Why are you getting out of bed in the morning? What is the purpose for you getting out of bed in the morning? Each person's ikigai is personal to them and specific to their lives, values, and beliefs. It reflects the inner self of an individual and expresses that faithfully, while simultaneously creating a mental state in which the individual feels at ease. So what is it? What is the thing in your life that reflects your values, your beliefs, that doesn't add stress? Why do you get out of bed in the morning? Let's break this down even further, because we are Western thinkers, so we need charts. So you may not be able to see all the words because they're kind of small here, so I'll read them out. The Westerners who study this concept of ikigai kind of break it down into the intersection between what you love, what the world needs, what you're good at, and what you can be paid for. Let me say this again. What you love, what the world needs, what you can be paid for, and what you are good at. If you can find yourself landing in a place where you are experiencing all four of these, then you're likely living your ikigai. Then you're likely getting out of bed in the morning to continue doing these things. And you find yourself in a place where your passion, your mission, your vocation, your profession are all showing up in your life. Now, you kind of notice that there are a couple of zones where they intersect that aren't labeled. And the thing about this is, it's not just, if I get 3 out of 4, I'm doing all right. You know, you need all 4, because here's the thing. Those zones that were previously unlabeled reflect when you've got 3 of those locked down, but the 4th one isn't there. And those places are usually when you're kind of doing what you love, or you're kind of doing what you're good at, but maybe you're not getting paid, or maybe it's something you love to do, but there doesn't seem to be any need out there for it. And there's still a sense of discontent. There's still a sense of restlessness, of discomfort. This is why it's really good to spend some time asking yourself, what do you love? What are you good at? What does the world need? And regardless of if you want to be paid for it or not, could you get paid for it? Because the realities of this world is when I go to the grocery store from which I get my groceries, if I don't have any money, they're not giving them to me, right? So we live in this world. We got some real world agreements we got to adhere to. This is ikigai. This might be why Japan is listed as one of the 7 places in the world considered a blue zone. Have you all heard about these blue zones? Yep. Let me introduce you to blue zones, because I went down a serious internet rabbit hole this week learning about blue zones. One of the things that resulted, sidebar, one of the things that resulted from my deep dive was learning a whole lot about intermittent fasting, which I will be starting this week. So if I'm grumpy for the next few days until my body adjusts, I'm apologizing in advance. Look it up, intermittent fasting, wonderful thing. Okay, back on task. So these are what we call blue zones. Blue zones are regions of the world where people live much longer than anyone else. They reflect an overall sense of contentment, peace, and happiness much more than anyone else. And what's that? And they have, don't jump ahead, I'm getting there. Get there. Interestingly enough, the one, Loma Linda, California, that's a community that's primarily Seventh-day Adventists. Yeah. So what do all the people who live in these places share in common? Moderate, regular physical activity, a sense of reduced stress, moderate caloric intake, generally a plant-based diet, moderate alcohol intake, usually wine, yes, engagement in spirituality or religion, engagement in family life, engagement in social life, and a sense of living their purpose. A sense of ikigai. When we find our ikigai, I believe that we are living God's will. I believe that we are living the sum total of divine will, divine plan, divine guidance. I believe that when we land ourselves in that place of purpose, calling, if you will, the God is us, consciously expressing. Only then do I believe will we find the peace that passes understanding, true inner peace. When the reason we wake up in the morning is an effortless decision to live more of the fullness of who we are. If you want to use the phrase God's will, this is what I think it is. Ikigai. Now imagine a world where everyone lived this. This is not a far-fetched idea. The researcher who's mainly responsible for bringing this concept to the Western world intentionally chose a town in Minneapolis and intentionally invited the people to practice these 9 qualities. And after a period of time, their lifespan expanded by 3 to 5 years. And these people were a lot happier. This can be replicated. We can choose to find our ikigai, live it, be the fullness of the divine expression that we are, and transform our lives. And not just our lives, the world. If there was anything you noticed at the services that were held for John McCain, that the sentiments about who he was as a person were echoed by people from both sides of the aisle and in between. I believe he was living his ikigai. And it doesn't mean that everyone agrees with the choices you make. It's not up to them to agree. It's not up to you to seek agreement. It's about who you are, and more importantly, what you are, which is divine, which is God, which is absolute good. So if you've not thought about it before, this is my invitation to you this week. Go find your ikigai. Go live it. Bring peace to yourself and bring peace to the world. Let's meditate. So I invite you to take a deep breath. Gently close the eyes and fall into your heart space. Let the breath take you there. With each breath becoming more relaxed in the chair, let the shoulders fall, the face soften. Beyond the swirl of thoughts and emotions, just breathe down below those. Imagine it with your heart that you breathe, the inflow and outflow of love. And with each breath, the heart opening some more. And as you relax further, know that all you need do in life is express God. Express the absolute love, absolute good, absolute abundance, absolute all there is. The essence of who you are. Take comfort in knowing that however you choose to do it is the right way. all you need affirm. I express divinity. I express divinity. In all I think, say, and do, I make God visible. I express divinity. Hold this affirmation in your minds and hearts. Moving forward in your life, the next few weeks, tomorrow, even now as we sit in the silence, I express divinity. This is your truth. It's your mission. It's your calling. I express divinity. For a few moments now in the silence. I express divinity. We hold this intention for all the names in our prayer box. That for all these circumstances and situations, these individuals remember the truth that this is why they are here. This is what every situation in their life is, an opportunity to express divinity. An opportunity to live God. And should you hold that intention for anyone else in your life, I invite you to say their names out loud now. In so doing, we hold this intention for them, ourselves, the entire world, knowing that the presence of their life in ours is also an opportunity to express God, to experience God, to see God, to be God. I express divinity. And so it is, and so we let it be. Amen.
In this moment, in this place, I remember who I am, letting fear and worry fall away from me. I open my eyes and then I'll see there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets me free. There is only love. And when I lose myself Oh, it seems I've lost my way. But if I go inside and quiet my mind, I hear love gently say, there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets me free. There is only love. Thank you, Ogun, for that thought-provoking message, an inspiring message. Now I'd like to introduce our prayer chaplains that are serving this week. If you could please stand. The chaplains are available for you after service to sit with you for any prayer requests that you have, or gratitude expressions, or just to be in prayer together. And all your requests are held in strict confidence. So please take the time after service to speak with a chaplain. If you have need, we have our home and hospital visit. Delighted to see that Annie Houghton is in the house. We have chaplains that are available if you have need for a hospital or a nursing home visit for someone or yourself. Please let us know and someone can see you. You can submit prayer requests in the box in the back of the church, or you can call our dedicated prayer line that we have. Our prayer team holds your prayers in prayer here for about a month, and then we send it off to Silent Unity at Unity Village. So we're a prayer-centered ministry, so please participate with that. Now it's time to affirm our tithes and offerings. So let's hold them and breathe in our energy as we say our affirmation. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Could the ushers come forward?
While we are collecting our love offerings and tithes, a couple announcements I want to share, invitations. Next May 2019 is an important date in the history of this church. You guys know what is happening next May 2019? Our 25th anniversary is coming up, and we need to plan some stuff. So I want to invite anyone who is interested to jump into the planning of this, to form a 25th anniversary celebration committee with me. There's a sign-up sheet at the Spiritual Resource Center. Get your name down. I'm hoping we get a good cross-section. We've already made some invitations for special guests to come and join us. It's a really fun list. I won't tell you. Keep you wondering. But I do want us all to participate in the planning of this. But before that happens, starting the very last Sunday in September, this month, we will begin our Fall Adventures in Faith series. And I want to tell you about the book which was supposed to come this week, hasn't come this week. It will be here next week. Don't run out, order it, because we're giving you all a special discount. So please wait and order it here at the bookstore. It's called The Story of Our Time. From duality to interconnectedness to oneness. I'm excited about this book for a few reasons. One, many of you have loved our past books. We did Big Magic, we did the Brene Brown book, Daring Greatly. And as much as you've all loved the books, some of you have said, can we get a book that's I guess a little more spiritual, that speaks more to growing our consciousness? And this book does that and then some. The other fun thing about this book is the author is local. He will be here on September 30th to speak and launch The Adventures in Faith as well. And him and I have created the study guide together for the book. So there's a lot of firsts rolling out with this book study. Let me read you what some people have said about this book. Michael Beckwith, some of you know who he is, a must-read by the widest of global audiences. Barbara Marx Hubbard, some of you might know who she is. This beautiful book helps us to find a whole new category of understanding evolution. A remarkable work that I recommend wholeheartedly. Some of you know who Larry Dossey is, right? Consider Atkinson's book as a survival manual and spread it as widely as possible. This book was written last year, so it addresses a lot of the issues that are going on in our global world and our consciousness right now. So it's current, it's relevant, and it presents truly an opportunity for the how us people of consciousness can be in this world and transform it. So that's coming up. What I need today, though, is for some of you to consider if you want to host a small group at your house or facilitate a small group that's being hosted at somebody else's house. So in other words, if you host a gathering at your house, we're going to do small groups in people's homes scattered around the area. If you want to host a group, it doesn't mean that you necessarily have to lead the discussion of the book while you do it. So you could be a host, you could be a facilitator, or you can be both. Think about if you want to do that at your home. It'll be running for the 5 weeks in October. So it starts September 30th, but the 5 weeks in October is when we'll be gathering. Again, sign-up sheets are the Spiritual Resource Center, that counter out there in the bookstore. Think about it, and let's keep shifting from duality to interconnectedness to oneness. I think that's all I had to say. Let's bless the offering. So I invite you to take a deep breath, go to a place of gratitude in your heart for these gifts. So whether you gave here or you gave online or you mailed in a check or you are automatically tithing to us from your checking account, however you choose to share and invest in this spiritual community, we are grateful. And we turn around and we follow that spiritual principle of tithing. And a portion of whatever comes in, we give back to the Amesbury local community, to the wider unity movement, and we just keep the flow going. So it is, and so we let it be. Amen.
It takes so many people to get our service together to run this place, so we want to say a general thank you to all the volunteers. We had a nice celebration for volunteers last Sunday. So thank you to everyone who does sacred service. And some special angels this week: Linda, Mark, Tina, Stan, Barbara, Rena, everyone who brought food last week for our volunteer barbecue, Sharon, Tom, and Joanne. The teams we'd like to acknowledge this week are our music and sound teams. Yay. We love them. The PowerPoint team, the bookstore team, and our youth and family ministry. And if you're interested in service, please speak to Peter. You can do this for one Sunday a month. You can do some things at home. You can do some things during the week. Many, many opportunities to serve here. Also, we want to thank our board members who've really been going all out with the painting project. So if the board members are here, could stand. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And now it's time for our big song, Raise Your Voice. Have a great week, everyone.
I tune because I care. did. I broke 2 strings playing this song. 2 in one play of the song.
You didn't stop.
And I did not stop.
Just flush with it.
You look pretty good considering.
Take a breath, everyone.
Let's remain standing as we welcome our youth and family walking as light.
We are walking in the light of love. 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 We are walking, we are walking. Oh, we are walking in the light of love. We are walking, we are walking. Oh, we are walking in the light of love.
I stand
you.
in the
Have a seat.
presence. Namaste. So today we did our sort of normal routine, which is first to give the kids some space to play and connect and do some crafts. And then we read a book called Wonder, or a children's book based on the book Wonder. And the kids had really wonderfully insightful things to share. The book's a lot about being yourself and how you might find yourself feeling separate from everyone else, and that it's not about changing yourself, but sometimes there's actions you can take to change how you are seen. And I thought that was so profound, so beautiful. So the other thing we learned today is that if you want people to listen to you, it helps to go like this.
Is that what I've been doing wrong?
Well, I think it's well, you do a little of that when it's appropriate.
Oh, I gotta remember that for next week.
Maybe essential if you have
Okay.
bad news. So, thank you.
The things we learn every day. Let us stand, take the hand of our neighbor, affirm the truth for these children, for the entire world. And remember, as you've seen today, these children, they indeed are our greatest teachers, and we love for some of you to go work with them on any given Sunday. Yeah, she's got it. She's got it down. Let peace on earth, and let it begin with me. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God. The power of God
protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well, and we are richly blessed.
Go find your ikigai.
Thank you, boys. Keith, Stevie, and Mike. Oh, very nice.